Hello, everyone, and welcome to this month's Inventive Marketing Club. This is number 28. My golly, really moving on with them. In this month, I thought I'd actually bring together three ideas. One of which I think was in a very early one of these sessions, LinkedIn session. The other two you may not know, so. I don't know, if you've been following me for a long time, you might well. But basically, three big ideas, I think, to grow your social engagement, looking at different aspects of that. I'm going to be looking at how to create remarkable content, and then how you can spread that further, really, on social media or whatever networks you use by working with other people. So just for those who don't know me, my name is Ben Kenned. Hello. I've worked with well over 500 businesses now, covering marketing strategy, web development, looking video, and obviously data analysis, which you can use to inform how you do things better next time. We've got tons of previous webinars, lots of different topics. I mean, as I said, this is the 28th. The last one was actually really good. That was Claire and Jack joined me, and we had a social media roundtable looking at all the different social networks that are out there at the moment, and really talking about how and why they can work for different businesses. Then I've also got a really good series. Well, I say it's really good anyway, but a series of marketing strategy from fundamental, pro, and expert, taking you through the things that I would always recommend to businesses. I've tried to sort of pour all this information out of my head and bring it into a space where you can sort of run through that from a very simple series of steps all the way through to things that are much more advanced, covering lots of different areas: social media, search optimization, email, planning, analysis, and a few business things thrown into there. Yeah, it's a really good signpost to lots of our other content, so that's worth looking at. Yeah, and if you want to contact me, stay in touch on LinkedIn or support@ratherinventive.com. So now I think there's going to be quite a lot in this. It's always difficult to judge with slides, but I usually work on 2 minutes per slide, and I've got 46 slides in here, so that means I'm going to run over, but hopefully we won't. So this first section is called Be Remarkable. And basically the idea behind this, and actually where this has come from, I've been doing a workshop or a sort of free webinar series called Marketing Boost, which has got 3 segments. One of them is about understanding your customer, which I think is super important. The next one is how you might engage online. So that's where this comes from. And the other is how you can then end that loop and get feedback and measurement that you can feed into the beginning again. So it's something I've been talking about a lot, and I felt I'd shared it with my club, but I don't think I have. So here we go. We'll go on to this first. So basically, the idea behind this is to choose a social network that you like or love. I think it's really important that when you are posting to a social network, that you like doing it, that you get something personally from it. Whether that's personal or business. It seems really wasteful that people have social media accounts, especially small businesses where they're managing it themselves, and they don't enjoy the process of putting out to social media. And I find that, certainly I don't enjoy working with Facebook. Twitter has been waning for me, really. I don't know when I've last been on Twitter. LinkedIn, however, I'm often on LinkedIn and reasonably engaged with what's going on there. Although we've just moved, as many of you know, so my time's been spent on that at the moment. So the first thing to do is choose a social network you like. If it can be where your audience hangs out, that's better. I mean, that's really where you want to go, but that would be ideal. And then reach out to your audience in a remarkable way that's consistent. So let me explain that a bit further. So what does being remarkable mean? Now, many of you may know Seth Godin, the guy pictured here at the bottom. And he has written, if you don't know him, go and find his blog. I think it's called This Is Seth, or you just put Seth Godin blog and it'll come up. He has been writing a blog post a day for years, ever since I've known him, and he's probably been doing it before that. And that has enabled him to write lots of books, have maybe a refined idea of what his sort of marketing strategies are and ideas. He has lots of generally good advice. But one of the key things he says, and actually I found this from a blog post in 2007, but he does mention it a few times, is that if you aren't remarkable, then you don't stand out. So I'll read his quote out. Remarkable doesn't mean remarkable to you, as in the person writing the blog post and putting content out there. It means remarkable to me, as in the person viewing it. Am I going to remark on it or not? And if not, then you're average, and average is for losers. So let me just explain what he means. By remarkable, he means that someone is going to take some kind of action over and above seeing a post on social media, for example, or watching a video and going, and not really thinking anything of it. Because if they don't think anything of it, if they don't do anything, if they don't take action, then you are going to blur into the background. You're not going to be seen. And many of you will understand on social media, the pace at which content is being generated by the billions of people who are on Facebook or whatever social network you're on. There are thousands of posts a second going past. And even if you can niche down your audience and have quite an engaged audience, you still want what you're putting out to be remarkable and stand out from the crowd, stand out from what everyone else is producing. Otherwise, what's the point? What is the point? And the reason I've got his book here, Purple Cow, which I've read on Audible, that's how I read most of my books, is if you were to see a purple cow in a field, so you're driving your car down the road and there's a purple cow in the field, I bet most of you would stop the car, get out, walk over to the fence and look at the cow and just be stunned to see a purple cow. You've never seen one before, never seen one. You're going to stop. You'll probably take a photo. You may well, even if you're put it on social media, but you're certainly going to tell people when you get back, and you're going to, it may even be a story that you tell to people for many years to come that you saw this purple cow. Why? Because it's different. It's remarkable. And it makes you want to remark on it. And so that's what he's trying to say here, is that what you should be trying to do, and I'm aligning it to social media, but he's talking generally, is you need to create yourself to be remarkable. What you're doing is remarkable, so much so that people will stop and listen and then share that with other people because what you say is so good. But it's really difficult to be remarkable. It's hard, but maybe there's a different way. So here's some ideas that you can sort of work on to be remarkable in your own way. And the best way I found of looking at this is to be remarkable on a personal level. So do it one person at a time. Try not to focus on being remarkable to everyone in your social feed or in your personal life. Try and be remarkable to one person. So some ideas about this. This is an email that, sorry, not an email, this is a tweet from a little while ago. I was doing some research for a presentation, actually, and I wanted some data on the difference between email and social media and how effective each one was. I can't remember what the presentation was. I think it was email, and I was advocating that email was a good thing. So I had actually recently received an email from HubSpot, and it was from Lisa. But I'd also noticed them appearing with the same sort of message on LinkedIn as well. And this was a number of years ago now. And so I reached out to her because it was pertinent at the time. And I thought, well, can they share a little bit of information with me? Can they tell me how well that performed? I was also interested in the tool they were sharing, which is a persona creator tool. But I thought the way to get Lisa's attention, rather than just connecting with her on LinkedIn or sending her an email in reply, is to go onto Twitter, find out her Twitter handle because she was sharing content, and then reach out to her with a video. So I remember I was stood in, was it Bromsgrove, outside an industrial estate, got my phone, was doing a selfie, talking to Lisa, saying, "Hey, Lisa, can you share with me this, that, and the other? Why not? You know, nothing to lose." And I think that evening I got this video back, which I can't share with you, unfortunately, but it basically she's saying, "Thanks very much for the video. That's great. This is what happened. This is, we found actually social media had that quick reach, but email was great for drip it that long. It gave a lot more longevity to their message, and they overall found that they got more engagement from email. So this was a really good way to get attention from one person and to get something that I wanted from it. Obviously, you can use this method to approach people in different ways. But it's a small thing to be remarkable, but it stands out because I was using video, and I think that technique will still work. So here's another one, and I found this really good actually pre-COVID times to actually go and visit conferences. I love going to conferences anyway. We had our podcast, and I thought, hey, how can I bring the two together? Because I'm always learning so much at conferences that maybe I can share that with some of my clients. So I decided to go to conferences and video them and give a little summary afterwards. And after a little while of doing that, I thought, actually, how can I get more out of this and speak to the people who are delivering the workshops or presentations that I'm actually going to see? So this was Bath Digital Festival in 2019. I planned to go there for pretty much the week, I think it was. And my idea was I would sit in on the presentations that I found interesting, and I know that my audience, that's you guys, would find interesting. Listened to them, took notes as I normally did, but then maybe circled a particular question. And then at the end, I would go up and approach the presenter and say, hey, that was really good. Would you mind if I interviewed you for our podcast? And I had my mic, which I won't show you because I'm using it now, but again, whip out my phone and hold it up for 5 minutes, which is pretty painful when you're doing an interview, and interview them. And what was great is that I got some really interesting content for our podcast. I didn't have to do any work. All I had to do is ask questions, and then I get these other people, these experts, giving the information for me. All I need to do is just cut them together and produce an episode from it. So that was it made my job a lot easier as well. But the reason I stood out is because I wanted to speak to them. I didn't want anything from them. I wanted really, and I'm not trying to sell them anything, but I wanted to interview them, and that's kind of the nicest, flattering thing that certainly a business owner would want. You know, if someone came up and wanted to interview them, and it felt like it's the right audience, then they may gain some benefit from that. They might get a backlink from it. Nothing better than a blog article being written about you. So that sort of flattery coming from a genuine position, as it was for me. I wasn't faking it. I wasn't doing it just to get in contact. Allowed me to speak to every single person I spoke to. I got an interview except one person who had to leave straight away. They're really busy and had to leave, and I wasn't able to get an interview from them. But it meant that I could speak to every single person I wanted to. And then once I'd done that, I put the post on LinkedIn and I name checked the people who are in it. And what that did is it kept the post going that little bit longer because it was more interesting, because it had individual voices in it. And those individual voices, like Edward here, would share it with their audience, and it got a bigger reach. So it was more interesting. It was more remarkable because of the way I did it, which isn't particularly unique, but certainly people like to have their story shared online, or they're happy to answer questions, but also because then they're featured in the video, they're going to share it with more people. So it had much more impact for me. Saying thank you. This wasn't me. This is Sarah Townsend. She's a copywriter in Cheltenham, and who I actually interviewed. She was talking about her environmental policy. And what she did here, she followed Elizabeth Dunn, or at Geek Freelance on Twitter. And what Elizabeth did was a very simple thing, but nice, and obviously caught Sarah's attention. She just wrote, "Hey, thanks for following." Took a photograph of that in a way that looked nice. Tweeted that back to Sarah, and Sarah shared it. So I saw it. I got to see it, and certainly she found it remarkable enough to share. It's a small gesture, a really small gesture, and it only works to one, and you don't know if they're going to share it, as you don't know if other people are going to see it. In this case, it did. I've seen it, and I'm using it as an example, so all of you get to meet Sarah and Elizabeth at the same time. But this approach of saying thank you to people in a way that is different, it stands out, it's remarkable, might get you that extra bit of attention that you want, or maybe even deserve. But you've got to do it in a genuine way. You've got to do it without expecting anything from it, so that when you do, it becomes useful, and you don't want to become disheartened by it. Another way of sending thank you is to send a gift. Now this is John, who used to work with Alex at Communion Architects. And Alex had referred me to another company, And as a thank you, because they went ahead and ordered from us, I sent him these absolutely gorgeous blue basil brownies, which are they're amazing. I think I found out about them first because our builder sent them to us. We finished the house, we gave him a testimonial, and he sent these to us afterwards as a thank you. Didn't tell us he was going to do that. So from our perspective, or my perspective, it was remarkable that he'd done it. It was really nice, and I remember that gesture much more than maybe if he just told us we were going to get the brownies. So I did exactly the same with Alex. Alex gave me a referral. The referral came off, and I sent him these lovely brownies. He did not know it was going to happen, and he sent me this video in return of the people in his office fighting over the brownies and cooing over them and saying how lovely they are. And John was a bit disappointed because he got the smallest one there. But now this wasn't shared with lots of people. But you can't, as I said, you can't expect that to happen. But it might be if you do have a process for saying thank you to people for whatever it might be, whether it's a referral or just doing something nice, then it may pay off. You may get something where they take a video and share it with everyone online, and you get more reach. Now, this is Jonathan Mann. I actually interviewed him for our podcast as well. In fact, he was working for BombBomb at the time. And they produce quite an interesting video service, which I'm not using anymore because it costs quite a bit to use on a monthly basis. But it allows you to send video emails on a personal basis, which is really good. So, in terms of how he got onto our podcast and got in front of me, because I'm getting lots of emails each day, and I at the time was getting lots of people who wanted to be on the podcast. He sent me an email which had a video of him in it talking and saying, "Hey, Ben." So I knew it was personal to me. I've listened to your show. I've loved this particular episode. I'd love to come on. I think I've got something I can share that will be useful to your audience. So it was personal to me. I could see that he had listened to at least a few of the podcasts or bits of the podcasts. So he'd done his research, and I felt that he cared about wanting to come on rather than just sending an email out to thousands of people with a podcast to see if he could get an interview. So he'd spent his time and research. So out of all the other emails, I picked this, listened to it, watched it, which made it very easy. It stood out to me, and I replied straight away, yeah, that's brilliant. Also great for me is that I knew what he sounded and looked like, which was perfect for our podcast, because that was, important that we knew that people could talk coherently and they had something interesting to say. So that's really good. This particular post is where he's using us as a case study for proving how that works really well. And so in this little video, he talks about how that works. And so the other point here is that actually using video, personal video, a bit like this, can really connect more than sometimes professionally shot video. Now, sometimes professionally shot video in the right circumstance can wow people, it can stand out. But actually, if you're trying to connect on a personal level, you do want the quality as high as possible, but you really need to be talking to people eye to eye where possible, and connecting to them on a very human level. And video is one of the best ways of doing that. So if you want to stand out and be remarkable in social media, on your website, use video, really use video. I can't say any more than that. It's definitely worth pursuing. And actually, there's a third lesson from this: share advice. Actually, what Jonathan's done here is used a great technique to get in contact with me, but then he's used that as a case study to share advice online. So he's using his own experiences and sharing that with other people, and that's valuable. Okay, and the last one in this list is to share a secret. It could be an industry secret, something that people don't know, that they don't really talk about. You could share that. In this particular case, this was Mark. He's a marketeer. He was sharing this secret, not to be related to marketing. This was about saying that actually, as he grew older and reached, I think it was the age of 50, he started to realize that actually he had no real friends that he hung out with, not since school. Sure, he had people that he met, people he worked with, clients, but he didn't have any friends. No one really to go to the pub with and just chat and just sort of decompress and let off steam. So he wanted to share this, but he didn't want to share it in a depressing way. He wasn't just sharing to say, I've got no friends, and that was it. He was saying, I've no friends, and actually this is can be a big issue for many people, and can be a big cause of depression and suicide in men. And he wanted to share his experiences. Not that he'd ever got to that stage, but what he had found is there's various places that he could go to make real connections and real friends, not just business friends, which is certainly different. So it got my attention, and actually this wasn't shared with me. This was, Mark isn't one of my in my connections. This was on LinkedIn. It was actually through a connection through one of our clients. I saw it, and then I think it's something that will get attention, definitely. So sharing a secret, finding something that is either personal to you or personal or is part of the industry. So that's really about being remarkable, which I think is, if you are going to do stuff online, on your website, in video, in social, is you want to stand out. And I appreciate you can't do that with everything, but you want to try and make sure that what you do is stand out. It is remarkable and gets you noticed and gets people talking. I find it hard to do that, but I try and do stuff consistently and improve what I'm doing so that it can become more interesting and more remarkable every time. Right, the next section I'm going to look at is be the first to follow. So this is all about how to create, how to attract people to create a movement, as in you want to grow a growing number of people sort of moving in your direction. I've just realized this is number 1 for some reason. It's meant to be number 2 on here. So let's go through this. And there's a couple of stories behind this. First of all, what is a first follower? Because that's actually what all this hangs on. And a first follower is a person who is the first to join in and support that leader who's daring to be different, who's doing something and going off in a different direction. That first follower is incredibly important because they are what helps start that movement off. And I'm just going to share a few personal insights into this. I mean, the idea of a first follower isn't mine. I'm going to show you a video at the end, which you may have seen, which the concept comes from there. But actually, it's something you can observe all the time. And if you know and understand how it works, it might be something where you can generate that momentum yourself. Okay, so the story is how to be a leader. So I'm going to talk about Steve, who's a good friend of mine and actually a very successful businessman. He's actually built a big business now and stepped back to become a chairman and is doing business consultancy and all sorts of fun stuff. He's got choice now. He's a friend from school, back in Newent School when we were young. So I've known him for a long time. And Steve has always been someone who wants to do something different. I remember often Steve was the one who was running naked down a street after maybe we'd gone to a pub on a sort of boys camping holiday somewhere. So Steve was always the one doing different things. Now, if Steve didn't have other people doing what he's doing as well, then he just looks like a lone nut. He just looks like a crazy person. But actually, if he can bring people along, he feels more confident, he feels stronger, and actually what he's doing isn't so crazy anymore. And that's kind of what he was doing in this particular adventure. So what Steve did is invited us to be part of this rock solid race, which is an obstacle race. It was down in Exeter. And we did this back in 2013. We first did the 5K because that sounded like a lot, but we loved it so much that I think the next year or the year after we did the 10K, because actually we realized it's not so much running, it's the obstacles that are the hard bit. But what was interesting is that Steve gave us the goal. He wanted to do something and he gave us a reason. He sort of motivated us all to do something. And gosh, I remember, I've put a note here, it's the first cross-country run since school. I used to love cross-country running because it was a real mix of different things, hurdling over gates, going through water and stuff like that. So I was kind of inclined to do that. And within our small group of friends, we were all kind of into outdoor in various different ways. But none of us were doing that. We weren't going camping anymore, walking or anything like that. So Steve was the first one to put his hand up and say, hey, let's go and do this. Now, looking through the website online, you can see all the pictures of the different obstacles, and there were 27 different obstacles. So I think that was on the 5K one. So there were lots, and they looked pretty grueling. There were some big high walls to climb over. There was netting. There was this particular one, which was an extremely cold ice bath in a skip. So you had to run along, get into this skip, and then duck under a barrier that forced you under the water and back out again. Boy, was that cold. Didn't know much of this going into it, but we saw some of what it looked like, because I think it had run a couple of years beforehand. And gosh, the things I do just so I have something interesting to talk about. But Steve was very confident that we could do it. He was sort of rallying us and bringing us together. He was our leader. And we were all like, okay, Steve, if you think we can do it, we can do it. And he brought everyone together. He encouraged us to sign up on Facebook. I think he sent us emails or reached out on Facebook, encouraged us to sign up, and pestered us to do so. You know, he wanted us to be part of it. He didn't just send out a message to us once. He would follow us up, make sure we're online. Are we having trouble signing up? Should we buy a group ticket together because it's cheaper? That sort of thing. He was the one leading it, and that was really important. He made sure that we did it. There's our crew there. I don't know who that child is. It belongs to someone at the back there, one of the people that was not part of our group, but not someone I knew from school. So, yeah, it was really interesting. Pulled us all together and motivate us to do something different, get off our butts. Steve was the first to show how it's done. Here's Steve running across these basically floating boards of wood, showing us that it's possible. The moment you can see someone run across the water, which looks incredibly difficult, you know it can be done. That gives you confidence to continue. He's the first to question, how the heck do we get under there? Now, this was quite interesting. In the first year, you could go through like this. You had barbed wire and then water, and you could sort of crawl through, commando crawl through. But in the second year, the water was much higher. And so you couldn't actually commando crawl through anymore, because your mouth would be underwater for too long that you wouldn't be able to breathe. So what you had to do is actually go down with your back in the water and pull yourself underneath with your mouth just coming out of the water so you could breathe. I found that incredibly hard. This bit was easy, you know, commando crawling through, but actually getting down on your back with this freezing cold water suddenly hitting you just froze me up, until someone came up behind me and said, come on, you can do it. They said, just turn around, slip down there. And I did it, because I could see them going. I was a lot happier. He was definitely the first to keep morale up. There's Steve constantly as we're going around. Come on, guys, let's do it. You can do it. Keeping us going. And also, this is quite funny. He's the first to be featured on the website. He's like in the masthead of the gallery, obviously putting on a remarkable face that someone picked out from thousands of photos. And the first to eat. Actually, no, that wasn't Steve this time. That was me. And in fact, I got a little story here, which is related to being a first follower. So we've just done this grueling effort, all of us there, and we you can actually see my trouser a bit ripped. Luckily, it's not showing anything too much there. So we just finished this, and luckily they had lovely hot showers, which was really nice. So we all go our separate ways, have a shower, get clean, and then come back out again. We want to regroup. First thing I want to do is a coffee. I just really need a coffee outside of here. So I'm looking around. There was a coffee stand over here, but the queue was huge. I'm like, not interested in waiting in that queue. So I'm looking around. Is there anywhere else that can do coffee? And I saw this veggie gourmet burger place at the top of the hill, actually furthest away from all of from the sort of little encampment of changing rooms. So I walk up the hill. Let's go and try this out. Yeah, they have coffee. Great. So I can have a coffee. Oh, while I'm here, can I have a bit of food as well? So while I'm waiting for my food and coffee to be made, and there was no one stood there. There was no queue at all. I'm waiting there. More people are coming up the hill. And you've probably seen this before if you're the first person to sit in the cafe, that often if you've got something that is empty, like a cafe or a shop or even a LinkedIn comment post, it's not inviting. Whereas the moment you've got that one person there, giving it some, validating it in some way, giving it a vote of confidence, that one person will make it a bit easier for the next people to come. And so I was a bit like the first follower, really, in a way, that that the coffee company had put themselves up here. That's where they could go. But I was helping support them by giving them some legitimacy as they could actually sell some valid products. I mean, I didn't think of it like that. That's not what I was doing, but that's what actually happened. The moment I came up, more people would come up. And then soon afterwards, once I got my food, there was a nice steady stream up there. And I think that's really important, certainly to look out for. You look out for this, and you've probably seen it many times before, but look out for when you see people move to do something different and then other people are starting to support them, you will get a bit more of a movement happening. And there's a great video I'm going to show you in a minute that will explain that a bit more. It was also the first time for new things. This is Reese. He did not like heights, but because he saw everyone else do it and he wasn't happy about doing this, he jumped down from this very high board into the water, but he could see it could be done. So actually having people lead is really important to show the pathway is safe. But it is hard to be a leader. Steve is definitely a natural leader and actually relishes that position. He likes doing different things. He likes bringing people along with him. And perhaps if you can't be a leader, you can be first at something else. So perhaps you can be the first to help. You can maybe seek out people or organizations with similar audience to you and help them. Just actively go out and help people, obviously within your sphere of experience. Don't try and do things you aren't experienced to do. But if you're able to help people with, for me, marketing, and I can go out, reach out and do that, then great. I'm happy to do that because I get to meet more people. And I can be the first to do that. And by doing that, I might encourage more people to do that as well. You could answer questions on, social media video on your blog. You could deliver workshops, which is what I've been doing for the Growth Hub locally. So there's lots of things you can do to be first at, and then tell other people that you're doing it. So more people will start doing the same. You can also be the first to follow. So perhaps you want to join in with new ideas. You see someone who's got something quite an interesting product or an interesting idea. Support them, give them money if that's what it takes. Share them on social media. You want to see, if you like something, you want to see it succeed. So support them. Be that first follower because you are incredibly important to help the overall application, product, idea, whatever it might be, succeed. You can also do it on LinkedIn. If you see one of your colleagues or friends or companies you're working with comment on social media, LinkedIn in this example, be the first to post a comment on there, to support them, to give them that vote of confidence. And often, interestingly, if you do that, if you're the very first person, maybe someone's asking a question or they're making a statement. If you're the very first comment on there, people will often refer back to you over and above the original commenter. So you might even get noticed more that way. It's quite interesting, actually. So being the first to follow can definitely be valuable. So let me show you this video. It's called Leadership Lessons from Dancing Guy. It's a really good video and actually inspired me to do this original, what was a small workshop actually that I delivered, or a small presentation that I delivered. And also inspired, or it helped me see some of the things I brought out. It helped me notice them in real life. So let me try and find it. And I'm just going to play it all the way through. It's about 3 minutes. And if you have watched it, watch it again, or just wait for the end of it.
If you've learned a lot about leadership and making a movement, then let's watch a movement happen start to finish in under 3 minutes and dissect some lessons. First, of course, a leader needs the guts to stand alone and look ridiculous. But what he's doing is so simple, it's almost instructional. This is key. You must be easy to follow. Now here comes the first follower with a crucial role. He publicly shows everyone else how to follow. Notice how the leader embraces him as an equal. So it's not about the leader anymore, it's about them, plural. Notice how he's calling to his friends to join in. So it takes guts to be a first follower. You stand out and you brave ridicule yourself. Being a first follower is an underappreciated form of leadership. The first follower transforms a lone nut into a leader. If the leader is the flint, the first follower is the spark that really makes the fire. Now here's the second follower. This is a turning point. It's proof the first has done well. Now it's not a lone nut and it's not two nuts. 3 is a crowd and a crowd is news. A movement must be public. Make sure outsiders see more than just the leader. Everyone needs to see the followers because new followers emulate followers, not the leader. Now here come 2 more people, then 3 more immediately. Now we've got momentum. This is the tipping point, and now we have a movement. As more people jump in, it's no longer risky. If they were on the fence before, there's no reason not to join in now. They won't stand out, they won't be ridiculed, and they will be part of the in crowd if they hurry. And over the next minute, you'll see the rest who prefer to stay part of the crowd, because eventually they'd be ridiculed for not joining. And ladies and gentlemen, that is how a movement is made. So let's recap what we've learned. If you are a version of the shirtless dancing guy, all alone, remember the importance of nurturing your first few followers as equals, making everything clearly about the movement, not you. Be public, be easy to follow. But the biggest lesson here, did you catch it? Leadership is over-glorified. Yes, it started with the shirtless guy, and he'll get all the credit, but you saw what really happened. It was the first follower that transformed a lone nut into a leader. There's no movement without the first follower. See, we're told that we all need to be leaders, but that would be really ineffective. The best way to make a movement, if you really care, is to courageously follow and show others how to follow. When you find a lone nut doing something great, have the guts to be the first person to stand up and join in.
Quite an amazing video. I think you'll agree. I mean, even if you've seen it, I've seen it many times now. And I think it's such an amazing video, just seeing that one person, and you can see the handoff from the leader to the first follower, and how the first follower then brings in more people. And after that point, it just happens on its own. And I'm not saying that's easy, but if we can understand how it works, we might be able to try and make that happen. And you can see it all a lot of the time actually in a new product launch. It's just, if you can have enough motivation to get over the hill and bring more people into a product or a system or service, then it'll actively encourage other people in. So go back. I definitely recommend you go back and watch that again and take note of what they're saying there. Okay, so here's the recap. To build a movement, you'll need a lone nut or leader, the important first followers, and the tipping point where the masses join in. So the last thing I'm going to talk about is starting a social tribe. Now, this is another way of really increasing your reach on social media. And it's all about local businesses, promoting other local businesses on the web and through social media, or even word of mouth. Because I think it's something that in the hyper-connected world that we live in, and everyone's online, we often forget that we're still local, that local is really important. I know a lot of my customers, local is incredibly important to them. They've got customers who are local to them. And if you can find a way of communicating and working with and collaborating with other businesses who are local to you and perhaps who have a similar audience, then there's lots of benefits can come out of that. But if nothing else, it could be that you have exposure to a new audience that you never had before. So let me talk you through this idea of a social tribe. And it's actually an idea I sort of tossed around with Aidan Gibson, who I met in Hereford many, many years ago when I lived in Hereford. And he was part of a group, an SEO group, where they contrived to uprank each other's sites by through a series of techniques. Now, I really liked the idea, although it's a bit of a dark art to do that. So I didn't want to copy exactly what it was, but I really like the idea of a group of people working together to promote themselves. Because whenever I've seen, certainly even in just workshops or the business I'm in, collaboration it makes a huge difference to not only the amount of attendees you have, but also exposing you to a new audience. You know, I have people who follow our blog, who are signed up to our newsletter, who attend the workshop. But I also want to reach people who are outside of that network. And a really good way of doing that is by delivering workshops with other people. So how to start a tribe in 6 steps. Hopefully they're numbered correctly. So first of all, you've got to find your tribe. You've got to, I don't know, share this idea. So do feel free to share this idea completely with 5 other local businesses that you respect. Not just anyone. It's got to be people you get on with, that you respect what they do. Maybe your audiences align as well, but that's not important, not crucially important anyway. But they've got to be companies you respect, because what you're going to have to do relies on that. And then you add their social accounts and blog or any other things that are relevant to marketing into a Google spreadsheet, and you share it with them. Because what we want to do is we want to create one central place where we have all of the relevant marketing endpoints, if you will, of those businesses. So first is to find your tribe and share it with at least 5 people. But it could work with a group of companies for 10. I know we do something similar with the Education Network. And I think they've got about 30 members. The idea is they're slightly different, but effectively we're all we all share it via a central the central when post on LinkedIn will be a combination of all of our posts, and then we're all encouraged to share that with everyone else on our LinkedIn profiles. So your group could be really small, but I'd say at least 5 people, if not bigger, maybe your local networking group. And then you follow your tribe. So, and everyone does this. So you look through that Google Doc and you follow every social account for every other business on your group. You look at their blog, maybe you earmark it. Maybe you sign up to their RSS feed and put it in a reader so you can see it regularly, or sign up to their newsletter if that's going to be easier for you. What you want to be doing is you want to be, I use the word exposed again, I've used it a lot this webinar, but you want to see all of the content that your tribe is sharing online. That's really important, and you want to make it easy for yourself. You don't want to have to go looking for it. So if you can have it to come to you in a newsletter, or you can sign up in a feed that you can see, that's going to make it a lot easier. So make sure, so the second step, follow everyone in your tribe and encourage everyone else to do the same. That's part of the deal. That's sort of the benefit we're getting here, is that we're helping each other. And then number 3, spend 15 minutes a day, 25, whatever it takes, but try and do it regularly to read your tribe's tweets, blog posts, videos, listen to the podcast they produce, and again, sort of immerse yourself in their world. It's really important that you just spend time doing it. Don't worry about any actions. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter whether you want to share it or not, or comment on it. Don't worry about that. Just read it, listen to it, watch it, whatever it might be, whatever content they're outputting. Make sure it's coming to you. If there's anything you're not interested in, ignore it. Really, this shouldn't be a hardship. Make sure it's only stuff that is the best, remarkable. Remember that. You want them to be producing remarkable content, so only read their remarkable content. If it's boring, don't read it. If it's not interesting, don't. We're not trying to force anything here. We're only trying to surface the best stuff. And then number 4, recommend what you love. So if you watched a video of theirs that you thought, oh, that's amazing, Jack's done really well with that, I love it, share it. Share it on the platform they've shared it on. Share it on other platforms. Share it on your newsletter if you deliver one. Share it in a webinar or workshop if you've got one, but share it with more people. And the better it is, the more you want to share it. Just ignore content. If you're not interested in something, or it's boring or dull, ignore it. Don't share it. We're not forcing things here. Now, you'll be doing this with everyone else's in the tribe's content. The hope is that they'll all be doing the same thing as well. So you may need to get together occasionally and just have a chat about how things are going. But the idea is it helps boost the amount of people who get to see your social posts or blog posts, and extending your reach. And if you're doing that for other people and extending their reach, and you're basically sharing their posts with your audience, you're encouraging them to do the same. There's a slight contrivance there, but I do want to make it clear that we're not sharing everything. We're just sharing stuff that you like, that you love even, because we want it to be real. We want it to only the most important content to surface. So number 4, recommend what you love. And then feedback. If something wasn't good enough to be remarkable or interesting, or you just didn't share it because it was dull to you, feedback. Give that information back into whoever posted it, whoever creates that content in the tribe. Because if they create better content, then their audience will grow and be more engaged. And so when they share your content, your reach will grow too. So by helping your tribe create better and more remarkable content, if they're doing the right thing, your content will spread better too. And they'll be giving you feedback. So you've got a nice team of trusted people who are going to give you the right feedback to improve your content, and you'll work together. And number 6, this is really important. Don't make it about yourself. Don't talk about yourself. No one likes self-promotion. It really doesn't work very well. It can. If you've got a social feed where you're giving most of the time, and then you ask occasionally for someone to buy something or someone to do something for you, that's fine. But when you're sharing content from your tribe, don't make the share about you. So try and make it all about them and what they're doing and how great they are. Don't bring yourself into it unless that's needed to enhance how they look. Your job is to promote them and other people in your tribe, not to promote yourself. Because what we hope is, in return, we'll get it all back. But we've got to help first. We've got to be a bit of a leader in doing that. So this should work, because by sharing and promoting other businesses in your tribe, you are exposing their content to more people from your network that wouldn't have seen it otherwise. You're nudging the algorithms, whatever network you're using, whether that's YouTube, LinkedIn, or what have you, to recommend their content even further outside the audience. So a lot of content algorithms will recommend based on the amount of comments people have, or maybe the speed with which people are sharing it or viewing it, or how much they watch all the way through it, or how long people spend reading. There's lots of different metrics that will encourage engagement and enhance the algorithm's chance of, or chance the algorithm is going to share it with other people. But by doing this process, that will help. It also gives a personal vote of confidence that they're worth listening to. So we've already gone through the first follow and how important that is. That's part of this at work here. If someone puts out a post that is interesting, funny, different, sad, whatever it might be, and you support it by sharing it, commenting on it, whatever method you're going to put out there to make your audience, make this known to your audience, you are giving a vote of confidence to that company and supporting them. And that as a referral is worth more than anything else they could do. So it's really important. By doing this, you're exposing other people's content to your network. You're nudging the algorithms to promote their content in a way that you couldn't possibly do. And you're giving a vote of confidence, a referral that they're worth listening to. So let's start a tribe. Let's do it ourselves with this club. Let's help our local businesses promote our local businesses. I know we're not all in exactly the same area, but we all have a common need that we want to promote ourselves. We're a variety of different businesses, and I feel at least a collection of some of us could make this work and bring this idea together. Now, this idea does work, but I've never used it myself. I've seen other people use this sort of idea or similar ideas to this, but I've never used it. So let's experiment. Let's try it. What I'd like to do, and I'll share it in the notes now, but I will also share it in. I'll also share it in the follow-up notes, is I would like you to have a look at the form I've just posted and share your details in there. And once we've got over 5 people's details, we'll start running it. And I'll make sure that I will go and share and follow all of you that I can do. Most I will be anyway. If you're a client, if you're just on the club, then you're going to get some extra followers that way. And at least nothing else, we're going to get some extra followers and views of our content. And then where I can, I will try and subscribe to your newsletter. I'll try and follow you on YouTube, so I'm looking at your content. I will, where possible, go onto your social network. Maybe slightly less for me, but other people might be using it. So if it's going to be Facebook, I'm not going to look at your content. If it's going to be Twitter, unlikely I'll look at your content. If it's on LinkedIn, I'll be seeing your content. So I'll make sure I connect with you on LinkedIn, or I will find a way to subscribe to your content. And actually, that's a benefit. Not everyone is into every single social network, so this isn't a forced system where everyone is going to be sharing everything all the time. We're only going to be sharing from the networks that we're interested in and the content that we're interested in. So I promise that I will do that. Hopefully all of you that sign up as well will promise that you will do that. That's part of the deal, really. And then maybe we'll come together in a couple of months and see how it's been going, see if there's any benefit from it. So that's what I'd like to do. Let's start a tribe. And with that being said, what I'd like to do is commit that for everyone's action. I would like everyone who's listening to this and feels this is important to join our tribe. And if you want to start your own and you don't want to join ours, that's fine, no problem. If you've got a network, and I know some of you do, go and start this process with them. I should make this portion of it available to share it as a tribe. Maybe I'll do it as a podcast and we can all share it. But I'll try and make some details available so you can share it with other people and use that in your own groups to start a tribe. And let's try and promote each other and lift each other up. And certainly in times like this, we can all do with it. So just to round off, tell your friends. If you found this or any of those really useful, tell your friends. There's actually a podcast. It comes out every 2 weeks with a newsletter, which has a link to the podcast and a few other links, some of our blog articles, other interesting things we find throughout the web. That's on the newsletter. That's completely free. And let people know if they really want to get a little bit ahead in marketing and experience things like this, new ideas and things they can try. They definitely want to sign up as well. Just send them over to ratherinventive.com/club. And hey, if you want to invite them onto one of these for free, just let me know. Just send me an email and I'll include them on the next recording. Cool. I'm actually ending slightly early, so that's great. So, oh my gosh, the Christmas tree is still on this one. I must take it off. So, Merry Christmas. No, ignore that. Thank you very much for listening. Next club session is the 25th of April. That's not right. Gosh, I must check my facts here. It's going to be the 25th of May at 1 p.m. Do stay in touch and connect with me on LinkedIn. And I'll see you next week and see you as we talk about this tribe idea as well. Okay. Thanks very much. Thanks for listening. Take care. Bye-bye.